Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
What do they say?
Do you think they bombed it hard enough to wake up John McCain?
No, he's still truly deep down in hell. He's like in the 7th layer, so that can't
That's true.
He's
they
in
made
the
an
7th
8th layer just for him.
And to be honest, it looks like Baghdadi's down there with him now.
Yeah, they say 8th time's the charm.
Yeah, it's, I gotta say, man, I talk about zillionth time being the charm, but it really looks like
it's not just him. It's like every Al-Qaeda leader ever. Oh, we got him, and then he's alive again, then dead again, alive and dead. Al-Qaeda just like comes back to life a lot, and they just can't report it straight. And it's all. I'll tell you what it is. It's not because they're maliciously lying. It's like they're so excited to be first with the big news that they don't care about checking whether it's true.
Yeah.
They're like, just be first, because it's better to like be first sometimes and get it wrong than it is to not be first and have someone else get it right. That's how they feel. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Look, this claim is different from all previous claims. How all previous claims of Baghdadi's death since 2014 would go is something like this. The US Air Force believes it has blown up al-Baghdadi's compound and that he is dead. And then another report would come out a few days later. The US military believes Baghdadi died of his wounds a couple of days after. And of course, Baghdadi would, it would become apparent that Baghdadi is not dead. Now, this one is different. The Syrian military informed Iran that it looks like Baghdadi is dead because of this operation. And Iran, who almost never, thank you for putting that squirrel right there, Iran, who almost never comments on these matters, normally they just don't respond to claims that Baghdadi's dead, have actually responded saying, we believe he's also dead because of this raid. And this was, again, different. Trump announced this publicly. No US president previously, during claims that Baghdadi was dead, actually made the announcement that he was dead. Right? Trump has specifically took, a morning session starting at 9 Eastern Standard Time and talked about how Baghdadi was hunted down in a raid in Idlib province and killed, blah, 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 DNA testing. The Syrian military actually believes it was done. Iran believes it was done, and their last comment was, well, the US was just really killing its own creation, which is
it's
mostly
different,
true.
too, because instead of like a drone strike or airstrike, which, you can't verify what you hit. It's like, oh, we think he's there, and we blew up that thing, so he's probably dead down there. This was different. It was a relative of his through marriage flipped on him because he got caught in Iraq. The Iraqis caught him. And they pressure him, and so this guy says, I think I know where he may be, but I definitely know where his courier is that's, supplying him and whatnot. So they just followed the courier to where he was, and then the U.S. broke down the door, and he suicide vested himself or whatever. And I'm hearing they're going to scoop up the remains and dump them in the sea, as is Islamic custom. That's what they did with Bin Laden.
Yes,
Viking Muslim.
Apparently he blew it. And again, this is also different too, because look, first of all, people are convinced that Baghdadi's real name is Elliot Simon. These are the same people that believe ISIS means Israeli secret intelligence.
Yeah, I know. Because the
Right.
ISIS is also an archer.
Let me explain something. Baghdadi is actually a real person. He was an Iraqi citizen, and he joined a terrorist group. And the US allowed his group to expand because it suited their interests at the time. We have, what's his name on record? Who's that idiot under Obama? Kerry. We have Kerry on record saying that they allowed ISIS to grow in Syria because
Who's
they wanted
that
to pressure
idiot
Assad.
under Obama doesn't narrow things down.
Yeah, exactly. The one who looks like a Neanderthal, Kerry. Now, so anyway, he's on record saying that they allowed ISIS. He's saying it to the Syrian opposition too. Amazingly, he's like, "Yeah, we allowed ISIS to grow in Syria because we wanted to put pressure on Assad." And then he actually said that backfired. But the point is, look, Baghdadi had a son, and his son was actually killed by the Syrian army. Now, this happened during a major anti-ISIS operation in Homs and Hama province, in mid-2017. And you understand, like, Baghdadi has a file. The Russians have a file on him. The Americans obviously have a file on him. The Syrian military intelligence all have a file on him. He's a high-profile terrorist leader. Everyone's got a file on him with whatever information they got. And the Syrian military obviously knew that this guy had a son. And they normally check the bodies of ISIS fighters, and it looked like, back in 2017, they'd killed his son. 1 year later, almost to the day, but 1 year later, ISIS's official media channel announced that Baghdadi's son had been killed fighting the Syrian and Russian forces back in 2017. So it actually turned out to be true. It took them a whole year to admit it, but it turned out to be true. ISIS itself eventually admitted Baghdadi's son had been killed. Again, fighting the Syrian government in Homs province. So it doesn't come as a surprise. It doesn't come as like that. Baghdadi himself, like, he's a real guy. He's a tool. He was a tool. Like, he should have seen that the Americans were, that all these gains that he was being allowed to make, it was just too good to be true, that he was playing. But he was a real person who led a genuine terrorist group, probably one of the worst in modern history.
You could say he's a U.S. creation.
You can, because
and his support was, too. Had we not done the policy that we did in Iraq, there would never have been Al-Qaeda in Iraq. You got to start, I mean, I know people know that, but I got to constantly remind everyone, like, hey, A, we created Al-Qaeda with the Mujahideen. Yes. B, this Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which did not exist when Saddam was in charge, is a direct result of the U.S. invasion of Iraq.
Yeah. Yes, look, I've given up trying to explain to people that want to believe that ISIS means Israeli Secret Intelligence Service and that al-Baghdadi is...
It's because they saw a YouTube video where they're like... the acronym for Israeli Secret Intelligence Service is ISIS, so what?
Yes, and hilariously enough, it's the Elliot Simon thing. That was fucking Smokulo that started that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's garbage that just proliferated because people want to believe the exact opposite of whatever America's saying. I deal
with the kooks every day.
Yeah. Yeah, so, if you want to believe that, but in my assessment, Baghdadi was real. He was certainly used. But he genuinely hated, in fact, he hated not just Americans, he hated everyone that wasn't a Sunni Muslim. So, and he was created by the Americans insofar as the brutal US campaign in Iraq and the complete disenfranchisement of Sunnis. And that is what gave birth to first Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which became the Islamic State of Iraq, which eventually became ISIS, and then even split off from Al-Qaeda because
it wasn't Baghdadi captured and released. It's like
I think really early on, but that's before he was that was before he was like.
Well, he wasn't like the guy he is now, but
yeah,
that's the thing. Right. A lot of these guys, they disappear for a little while with the CIA, and they come out and they're in a leadership role in Al Qaeda. You just gotta put a small question mark there, like, something to think about.
Yes, I don't know if he's really dead or not, but it really looks like it's true this time. The Syrian military has said they think that this operation axed him, and that Iraqi intelligence and military for once commented saying, yeah, it looks like he's dead and we participated in the operation. Iran even said looks like he's dead. And Trump actually, for the first time ever, regarding a claim that he is dead, that Baghdadi is dead, actually made an announcement about it, right? Like, he can't go back from this. He's announced it. So, thank you for showing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that made my day. To go on, it doesn't surprise me he was in Idlib too. And you know what? There was can you that squirrel's getting a little intimidating.
Because the name of it was so long, it went down to the second row, and I was trying to do the belly dancer thing, and then whatever, it screwed up. So it's all right.
Yeah, no, yellow ladder belly dancers are pretty good. So anyway, going on. Look, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me he was in Idlib, right? Straight up, because
no shock. Right?
Yeah, look. Officially, ISIS split from Al-Qaeda because it was that crazy. And Baghdadi so badly wanted to create his own movement because he literally took their ideology to, the next level. He ramped it up 1,000%. He did shit that Al-Qaeda, especially Syrian Al-Qaeda, wouldn't even dream of doing, right? Believe it or not. He's really that crazy. And his movement was made up of literally the worst desperados in history. These are people that were happy to just indulge in mass rape, indulge in massacres of ethnic, not just religious minorities.
They set kids on fire in front of their mothers.
Yeah, I know, it's fucked. It's like they were really even Al-Qaeda doesn't actually prove that.
That's the only group I can think of that did something like that. It's the Israelis.
Yeah, that's correct. The early Zionists. the early Zionist militias. Very true.
Well,
Very true.
so do the Zionist criminal gangs that burn families, in settlements.
That's correct. The colonists.
Yeah,
yes.
the colonists, the Hilltop Boys and stuff like that.
Yeah, the people that are really tough when they're like in groups of 20 with machine guns against kids with rocks. That's when they're at their toughest.
Or families sleeping in their house that they firebomb.
Yeah. So anyway, going on. Look, it looks like he was trying to reconcile, and there was actually reports being publicly circulated about this that Iraq even commented on it, saying it looks like Baghdadi might try to reconcile with Al-Qaeda because, understand, his military was destroyed. All of his territories were retaken by their respective countries, Iraq and Syria, and of course occupied partly by America and Syria. But all of his territories were snatched from him. And there were actually reports circulating around the end of 2018 that it looked like he was probably in Idlib and that he was probably trying to reconcile with Al-Qaeda to, have a safe zone, a safe haven to operate within to rebuild his base. And there are a lot of ISIS-leaning groups in Idlib that are still officially either part of Al-Qaeda or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which of course we know is Al-Qaeda, but officially split from it. But the point is, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has units, and other Al-Qaeda units, like the Turkestan Islamic Party and Huras al-Din, they have very ISIS-sympathizing units. And it looks like Baghdadi was trying to rally these units in Idlib, and he was going to use Idlib as a new base to recommence the existence of ISIS as a standing force on the ground. And the Americans, they probably knew where he was for months. And Trump will probably use this as a political exit strategy.
It's weird, it's always the year before the election that they get a big name.
Yeah, I noticed, 100%. I was going to say, it's either going to be used as an exit strategy or an election, or as an election ploy, or both.
It's like you're trying to impeach me, and I just got Baghdadi. Bam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you calling me a Russian agent?
This impeachment thing is so dumb.
Make fun of me all you want. This is their plan, people. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders.